Welcome to UCHL's for today's media luncheon. Our players are running back Kirk Spencer and offensive guard Jim Walsh, along with head coach Matt Mitchell. Coach, if you can talk about the Ashland contest, and then we'll move on to the road game at Tiffin this week.
Sure. Credit to Ashland for getting the job done, and obviously we didn't. We had a lot of conversation regarding the defense, but felt like it was a team loss. We had some opportunities in all three phases of the game to help ourselves out, and we really didn't. I think probably a very, very telling possession, couple possessions in that game where we get up 3-0, give up the touchdown. We're down 7-3. We drive the ball back down. We've got a 2nd and goal on their 1-yard line. Try a couple runs that are unsuccessful, and then attempt a pass that we thought was there, and we didn't hook up on it, and didn't get any points there. I think if it would have been 10-3 at that point, with 10-7 at that point with scoring the touchdown, that probably would have helped us out a ton. But we didn't get the job done there offensively at that point in time, and then they're backed up, and we stop them on 1st down. Then on 2nd down, they run a play-action pass. It's a 70-some yard completion, and we tack on a roughing the passer penalty to give them the ball inside the 20. And that was a huge swing, both in, I think, field position points and I think, too, momentum in that contest. And that was very difficult. So, both times that we went for it on 4th down inside the 10-yard line, we got to be aggressive based on how the flow of the game was going, and we had opportunities. We had guys open, and we couldn't either throw the ball or we couldn't catch the ball, and we had those chances. And so games like that offensively, you've got to be opportunistic, and you got to match some points. So defensively, extremely disappointing in our defensive effort. We didn't play really disciplined football. There's a lot of times in coverage that we weren't in the right spots, weren't on top of people. We didn't play with great eye control, and didn't play with a lot of focus that you're going to need to play championship level defense. Until the last drive, I thought we did a good job stopping the run, but it was a lot of play action passes with fullbacks and tight ends and 11 personnel with different guys, or a tailback swinging and we take our eyes off of him and he goes in for a touchdown. And there's a lot of situations where we didn't have a lot of great eye control, a lot of good discipline, and we were confused at times, pre-snap in terms of what our assignments were. And, the tail of the tape there is 3rd and 4th downs. We had a hard time getting off the field, especially in the red zone. I mean, we forced them to some third and goals and some 3rd downs in the red zone with some opportunities to make some plays and get off the field. And we didn't make those plays. We didn't make the plays that we needed to make to hold them to field goal attempts and not give up touchdowns. So, we were, disappointed in on that side of the ball, that given the, I think continued improvement throughout the course of the season and their performance against Findlay, that we didn't get the type of effort that we needed in that ball game. So, individually, I'll give credit to some guys on the offensive side of the ball. I think, Bart Williams right now is he's playing well. He's playing very confident. I think we have a great collection of wide receivers that are all working together, and we're getting production out of a lot of different guys in our passing game. And they're stepping up and making plays. I know our running numbers weren't good, but we also got to a point there in the 2nd half where we had to throw it. We had to throw it and be aggressive to get back in the game, and that was what was kind of working on that end of it. So, defensively it was a very frustrating afternoon. It wasn't one guy. It was one guy every play, different guy kind of every play that wasn't in the right spot, wasn't doing what we needed to do. So, obviously, that falls on myself and our staff. Didn't get them prepared well enough, and our players didn't, make plays when they had opportunities to make plays. So we lost. Can't let one loss turn into 2. We have to head back down to Ohio and get back on the bus, and we've got to regroup. And I think it's going to be an excellent week to kind of see from coaches and players on the defensive side of the ball where our character is at, what type of unity that we have on that side of the ball, because another challenge is coming at us with Antonio Pipkin. We have a lot of great quarterbacks in this conference this year, and he's one of them. He's passed for close to 2,700 yards, 25 touchdowns on only 5 picks, so he's been extremely productive so far this year. And he can beat you not only with his arm, but he can beat you with his feet too. He's a basketball player, and he's a very good athlete. And he's he's their leading rusher, in addition to also being obviously throwing it around, giving you some of the statistics I did. So we're going to be challenged by him. They've got some veteran receivers, veteran running back, pretty much about everybody that's out there playing is guys that have played in that offense for a couple years, and they understand what they're doing. So, defensively, when you look at the statistics, they're leading our league in pass defense, and that's a strength of this football right now, is our ability to throw the ball around. So there's going to be some challenges there, and this is a team that's had some close ball games that they've kind of lost, and just haven't found a way to win. They lost a shootout with Findlay, 48-44. Last week at Tech, it went in overtime, and Tech went for 2 and was able to get victorious there. And like I said, some of my stuff after the game, they went to Michigan Tech up in Houghton, which is a tough thing to do in the Upper Peninsula, and they gave Michigan Tech everything it can handle. So, based on our performance last week, there's no doubt that the players and the coaches, in our football program will give them the respect that they've earned based on their performance. And we've got to get back to work here and get the bad taste out of our mouth by having a great Tuesday practice, and that's really what I'm concerned about more than anything else right now.
Coach, as far as your time as a head coach here at Grand Valley, do you think this GLIAC is one of the best you've seen?
It's a great question. I definitely think over the course of time, the GLIAC has improved. I think there's more parity than there probably ever has been in the past. There used to be, in my opinion, the early to mid 2000s, there was some teams that weren't at the level of competition that some teams are right now. But when you look at top to bottom in the league, there's not a Saturday goes by where you don't see a score, or you see some statistics, or you see a performance that isn't extremely competitive. Like, there's not a lot of blowouts that we have in our league, and I think that goes back to, like you said, I think there's just more parity. I think top to bottom we're a stronger league. Some of the recent, besides our semifinal run 2 years ago, I would say some of the recent playoff performances, I don't know, have dictated that maybe our league is, getting that elite team at this point in time. But that may, a factor in that may be also too, Adam, that there's a lot of contests that are occurring that are very tightly battled contests, and it's a battle of attrition more than anything else, and you're seeing in our league, you look at a lot of different teams, injuries are starting to become a factor week 10 and week 11, and that's just, I think, because a lot of people haven't played 60-minute ball games, and guys aren't getting a lot of their guys off the field because of the competition within the league.
Question for Kirk. You guys responded after a loss earlier in the season and won on a road trip. Are you confident guys will come together and respond this week?
I have no doubt that our team's going to come together. We're a team that comes together when we're faced with adversity. We just have to make sure that we can't let this loss amount to another loss, like Coach Mitch said. We just have to come together, get back on film, and just find out what helps Grand Valley get back to Grand Valley winning.
Matt, can you talk about how the game changes when you're kind of chasing it? It's like you guys were behind 10, you'd score, be behind 3, then you're, back down again, and it probably caused you to rely a little bit more on your passing game than you would like to. Is running the ball a part of maybe being able to control the game a little bit better from a defensive standpoint? If you hold on to it a little bit longer, you're not going to get into this fast break kind of a game that kind of took you down a little bit on Saturday?
Yeah, well, I think a couple comments on that. First of all, we have enough talent on the defensive side of the ball at all 3 levels of our defense, both at the defensive line, linebacker, secondary position, and coaches. We have talent at the coaching position too. That I don't feel like we need to quote unquote protect our defense. I think our defense needs to go out there and make some plays and help this football team. Certainly if you felt like you had some deficiencies as a head coach on one side of the ball or the other, you might strategically, plan a game to do that. I don't disagree with that philosophy, but, heading into that game, against a team the previous week, Findlay, that had been very productive offense, we held them to 7 points and played really good defense. Now, maybe we were listening to me too much, complimenting them, and we lost our edge, which is certainly a possibility, but I didn't feel at any point in time that we needed to protect our defense. In fact, I think my decision to kick the field goal in the opening possession was an indication that I felt like at that point in time, getting 3 points and letting our defense go to work and getting the lead was important instead of going for 4th down. The decision to go for it on the first 4th down that we got down there when it was 7-3 at that time, I just didn't feel like 7-6 was going to give us much. That I felt like we had an opportunity there down inside the 1 to get the thing to 10-7 and recapture the aggression on the road against the top 10 team and be aggressive there. And that's why the decision we made that. But I think one of the factors too with throwing it around, not only the flow of the game being down 7, being down 14 was the other thing that was working. That was the other thing that was working. So you could sit there and say, we got to do a better job around the ball. True, but when you're in the flow of the game as a play caller, you're going to go with what's working. And besides 1 sack, we were protecting Bart Williams, and we were making plays. I mean, our guys at the wide receiver position were making plays, and Bart Williams was throwing the ball around. So given those circumstances, it was the most effective way to match scores and keep score with them was to try to keep attacking on that end. So, yeah, you got to take things game by game to take a look at it. The other thing that I talked a lot about with Ashland, they've got some really, really good defensive linemen and backers. That's the strength of their defense. That was a matchup for us that we weren't scared of that matchup, but we felt like they were a little bit better in the run game than maybe they were in some of the pass rush, some of the things they did. So we felt like we had an advantage in being able to let Bart drop back and let some of our guys on the edges kind of go to work.
And for your guys here today, Matt, could you guys talk a little bit about what you remember about Tiffin from past games, Jim and Kirk, and talk about the things that are going to be in your mind going into this week about the people that they have that you're most concerned with?
Yeah, they have a pretty explosive offense traditionally. They're a bit of a feast or famine kind of offense. Defensively, kind of the same thing. They're going to get after your guys, get after the offensive line, try to get after the quarterback, and really just kind of create some havoc and make it tough for offenses to handle that.
Haven't seen much film on them yet. I'm going to watch film today. Just know that they have a lot of athletes on their team. They run a lot of different formations, and they're able to spread the ball out. So just to make things hard on us is going to be just getting our blocks down, executing our play calls, and just sticking to Grand Valley football.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about the receiving core? Jamie Potts wasn't there earlier in the year. He comes back. Brandon Bean gets hurt. But you've had a nucleus of receivers that have really been doing well here as of late.
Yeah, I think our receivers are good, partially because I think we've also got some protection, and Bart Williams has been throwing around to help those guys. But when you talk about that unit, and I really think it's a unit, not just a collection of individuals. I think they would do a great job working well together in that room. And so, obviously, Williams and Potts, I've mentioned this in the previous one. Bean went down with the injury. Williams and Potts are kind of the two guys that a lot of times, we're attempting to do some things with the passing game. But, a lot of times they're freed up and they're open and things are happening because of the influence of some other guys on the field. Other than a mistake Erskine Smith had, I think Erskine Smith has got repetitions and stepped in, done a good job. Justice Wright as a senior is a lot of times, we become a little bit frustrated as a coaching staff because there's times maybe he's open or we try to get a specific route and it hasn't really hooked up, but he's influencing the game too. Joe Robbins and then our 2 freshmen. I thought, given the magnitude of that game and the pressure in those situations, I could have been happy with Nick Dotson's performance. I mean, as a true freshman to go on the road and have over 100 yards receiving and make some of the plays that he made, I think shows that he's developing and creating a lot more confidence in himself, and our team has confidence in him too. And Christian Lumpkin had a couple catches in the Finley game. There's a couple times he could have had opportunities. We didn't connect on a bubble to him, and he was open one time over the middle that we didn't get him the ball, but he's out there running around too. So. It's in my mind, it's a unit, and I think that they're playing well together. They understand things too. I think that we've got a really good grasp of how to attack coverages, and I think it's in our league right now. We're a little bit unique in the fact that we're one of the few teams that efficiently has a 5-step passing game, and so it gives us an advantage because there's not a lot of defenses that are having to see that on a weekly basis. And having to defend that because there's a lot more play-action pass teams in our league and not many people throwing from the pocket, and I think that helps us because we're pretty comfortable doing that.
Coach, you mentioned Tiffin's passing defense. Have you seen enough tape, or are you aware to know whether that's a product of a strong secondary or just a good pass rush or a mix of both?
Well, I think I've watched enough tape last night and this morning that I would say this: they have a lot of different looks. You know that they have pressure. They bring pressure and play some man and zone. They rush 4 and play a lot of different types of coverages. So they have a lot of defense, and you know, I think that the combination of having a lot of defense and a couple guys that are, you know, good athletes and are active both up front and the back end. They're not a real big defense, but they're athletic and they're active, and I think they understand that. And they've created some problems for some people just based on the volume of defense. So there is some concern from me that, you know, our offense, both our offensive line in terms of the pressures that they run and backs, but also our quarterback and wide receivers are going to have to manage a variety of looks on Saturday that Tiffin's going to throw at us from a defensive perspective.
This is for Kirk and Jim. You guys are only guaranteed 2 more games in your college football careers being seniors. Talk a bit about kind of your thought process going into these last 2 games.
Well, I know the thought process for all the seniors is just play the best games that we can, play the best football that we can, and just give us a chance to get into the playoffs and extend our season. We know that it's only 2 games left. We just want to cherish these moments and just celebrate it with our team.
I try not to think about the fact of only having 2 games left. I just want to go out and play my hardest and have fun with my friends.
Okay, that'll conclude today's media luncheon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.